hope you're having a great day. Today we're going to talk about a problem that plagues millions of people across the world. In fact, today it's termed medically as a silent killer because a lot of people out there are suffering from high blood pressure. Now, over the last couple of years, I've done many videos on high blood pressure, simple lifestyle changes, and we've had people who have not even consulted us reverse their high blood pressure. So is it possible? Absolutely yes. Their own doctors have reduced their medication and eventually gotten them off their medication because their systolic and their diastolic are absolutely fine. Today, what we're trying to understand is there is always a root cause. If we can find that root cause, you can get better. Of course, there's a small, very small percentage of people who have high blood pressure. No matter what you do, you will require medication. That could be because of a very strong gene in your family or underlying problems in your body, which have kind of escalated over the last couple of years, like, a combination of diabetes, a combination of high triglycerides, CKD, chronic kidney disease, and you will need that medication to protect your kidney, to protect your blood vessels, to protect your heart. But even then, by making the right lifestyle changes and understanding the root cause of the problem, there are thousands of people out there who have reversed it. This is not about alternative medicine. This is about lifestyle medicine. This is about you taking your medication that your doctors are giving you so that the high blood pressure is controlled and it doesn't create further damage. But then you're on a pill and you don't want to be on that pill anymore. So you start to make lifestyle changes and address the root cause of your problem. And as you start making those changes, your systolic and diastolic start to get better. Your doctor reduces your medication. And then your doctor eventually stops your medication. It's as simple as that. So today what I want to understand, what I want to make all of you understand is, number one, high blood pressure, there are many, many reasons. Some of it could be genetic, but don't blame it on your genes. Everyone has a habit of blaming diabetes, cardiovascular problems on their genes. While your genes play a role, it is still in control. We know that because of epigenetics. Today, the medical world is telling us that we can influence how our genes work through our lifestyle, through our sleep. We know sleep deprivation can turn off certain genes and turn on the bad genes. We know that in cancer. We know that with the wrong food habits, sedentary lifestyles, overtraining, emotional stress, all of these are real problems. But when you change that environment, you can change the way your genes express because the environment around you is constantly changing how your genes express all the time. All the time. Let me give you an example. In very polluted areas, everyone doesn't have lung problems or lung cancer. Many people will because the body's genes learn how to adapt and they upregulate, downregulate. Your body only cares about survival. So your genes can literally adapt for you to survive. But now coming back to high blood pressure, the one term that I want you to understand today is metabolic syndrome, because most people out there are not suffering because they're fat. They're not suffering because they're obese alone. They are suffering because they have metabolic syndrome. There are so many people who are pleasantly plump, have a lot of belly fat, a lot of body fat, but their blood reports are absolutely clean. They don't have diabetes, they don't have heart problems. They're just absolutely fantastic. So we can't just blame it on weight. That when you have weight, you're going to have all the problems in the world, because there are many people who are overweight and they're absolutely healthy. That doesn't mean that we should not try to come down to our ideal body weight, because that can cause other problems. Our spine has to take an extra load. Our heart has to work harder. Our kidneys, our livers, everything. So if we have excess weight because we're lazy, we're eating the wrong foods, we're going to make that change in lifestyle. Now coming to metabolic syndrome. What is metabolic syndrome? Metabolic syndrome is when you look at your lipid profile. You don't just look at your total cholesterol, that figure that most doctors like to medicate you. You break it down. You look at your HDL and your triglyceride ratio. If you have poor HDL levels and high triglyceride levels, you have a problem. You have metabolic syndrome. Now, along with a poor HDL and triglyceride ratio, if you have excessive belly fat, you have metabolic syndrome. Along with the belly fat and the poor HDL triglyceride ratio, you also have high blood pressure, you have a metabolic syndrome. Along with that, you also have insulin resistance, or you're pre-diabetic or you're diabetic. When you have all of these problems together, you have a metabolic syndrome, you have metabolic disease. And one by one, you need to sort these things out so you get out of the vicious cycle of metabolic syndrome. So most people actually have metabolic syndrome. And if you have metabolic syndrome, you have high inflammation. If you have chronic inflammation, you can have any other disease that exists in today's world, from cancers to Alzheimer's to you name it. The point of this video is not to scare you, but to make you aware, because most people are just taking a laundry list of medication for all of these problems I mentioned, but they're not understanding that their overall health is dependent on metabolic syndrome. So now, I can have metabolic syndrome that also causes my high blood pressure problems. We know today that diabetes can cause high blood pressure. We know that your high blood pressure can cause diabetes. We know that chronic kidney disease can create high blood pressure, and we also know that high blood pressure can create chronic kidney disease. We know a combination of diabetes and high blood pressure can mess up your kidneys. We also know that a combination of kidney problems and high blood pressure and diabetes puts you into metabolic syndrome. So you see, for the longest time, the world has tried to separate parts of your body. Let's just treat high blood pressure. Let's just treat the liver. Let's just treat the heart. But everything has an interdependent function. So when we're trying to fight a huge problem in the world, which is chronic inflammation that is causing all of your inflammatory diseases today, you need to look at the human body as a whole. Now let's break this down further. Insulin. Insulin has a vascular function. What does that mean? It stimulates the production of nitric oxide from your endothelial cells. Now that nitric oxide relaxes your blood vessels, so more blood flow can happen. That blood flow takes your blood sugar levels, puts it into your cells, and your blood sugar levels come down. Now that's an ideal situation of insulin. Insulin is not the bad person. Now the problem is when we have insulin resistance, or we have diabetes, or we're not producing enough of insulin, so our blood sugar levels stay high. Your blood sugar levels decrease the elasticity of your blood vessels, making them more constricted. So an elastic blood vessel can expand vasodilation. So your blood flows, your pressure's fine. But because you have uncontrolled blood sugar levels, or you have insulin resistance, these vessels start to constrict. When they constrict and become smaller, you have a back pressure of high blood pressure. So you see, your diabetes is also related to your high blood pressure. At the same time, you can have high blood pressure that damages your blood vessels in your kidney, in any part of your body, leading to diabetes, leading to CKD. Your nephrons get hard because there's not enough of blood to nourish it. So you see, I want you to understand today that your high blood pressure, if you're looking at reversing it, it is dependent on many things that you need to do. So if you have diabetes, you've got to start looking at reversing your type 2 diabetes, which is 100% possible in most cases. Okay, your kidney will then get better. I can't just expect chronic kidney disease to get better if I'm not working on diabetes, if I'm not working on high blood pressure. So now we understand. That is why high blood pressure is a bad thing for you, and high blood sugar levels is equally bad. So today, high blood pressure is also damaging the arteries in your heart. It's causing inflammation. It's causing the buildup of plaque. And now you have more plaque, which means you have less diameter for your blood to flow through. So now your blood pressure starts to actually increase instead of getting better. And that's why some people's medication goes higher and higher instead of coming lower and lower. So what can we do for high blood pressure? There are many contributing factors. If you're diabetic, you're pre-diabetic, you're insulin resistance, you need to get that sorted out and reverse it. The same thing with high blood pressure. So number one, if you drink alcohol, you got to stop drinking alcohol, period. If you want to reverse your blood pressure, you need to stop drinking alcohol at least until your systolic and diastolic is better. And then because it's better, you can slowly start getting back to your drinking, but not binge drinking, not out of control drinking. Smoking again. We all know that smoking leads to high blood pressure because it creates hypoxia. When hypoxia is created in the body, your blood pressure goes up and you activate stem cells that don't need to be activated. So we actually lower our immune system over time. So if you're a smoker, learning to cut down your smoking, planting a seed in your mind that this isn't good for me, and eventually reducing your smoke or getting off your smoke or taking professional help to get you off your smoke is going to help you reverse your high blood pressure. A sedentary lifestyle. Again, when we have a sedentary lifestyle, our blood circulation is poor. We have more fatty buildup, plaque, all of that stuff that is further causing your pressure to rise. The same thing with overtraining. If you're overtraining and under-resting, or you're overtraining and you're undernourished, you are creating damage to your blood vessels and your blood flow. You have a high pulse rate, you have a high heart rate. So you got to understand that it's undertraining and overtraining again. Sleep deprivation. Because when we sleep, Inflammation lowers. We allow our bodies to relax. We allow our blood vessels to dilate. Again, nitric oxide from your endothelial cells dilate your blood vessels. Magnesium from the food that we eat, our nuts, our seeds, or a supplement, dilates your blood vessels, allowing your blood flow to be normal while you sleep. And that is why sleep plays such an important role in lowering your blood pressure. If you are on a high sodium diet, you're constantly eating excessive salt, which is found in all of your junk food, your chips, your fast food, and all of that stuff, you are not going to be able to reverse your high blood pressure. So if you want to reverse it, because you have a long, beautiful life ahead of you, and your doctors may say, oh, you have 5 problems, here are 5 medications, you'll be fine. You are still sick. Remember that. Just because your blood parameters look okay because they're suppressed with medication, you are still sick. You are still a high blood pressure patient. You are still a diabetic patient. You are still an insulin resistance patient. You are still a patient of metabolic syndrome. So the point is, while you take the medication as a crutch to get better, you got to address the root cause of the problem and change your lifestyle. And then we have inflammation, chronic inflammation caused in your body because of sickness, side effects of medications, certain treatments that you're going to go through or you're going through. You have to handle the side effects so that you don't get a primary or a secondary condition of high blood pressure, diabetes, or something else. So kidney disease can also cause your pressure to be high. So sometimes when you have unexplained high blood pressure, your doctors will check your kidney. Diabetes again, you have the silent blood pressure. You're constantly getting headaches, migraines, feeling dizzy, blurred vision. You check your pressure's high, your doctor can't figure it out. They will check you for diabetes, they will check you for a heart problem, they will check you for kidney disease. But it is important to check this out. Illegal drugs can also cause high blood pressure over time. A thyroid problem can cause high blood pressure, which is why it is so important for you to check if you have a thyroid problem or not. In some cases, endocrine tumors can also cause unexplained high blood pressure. These are in rare cases, but your doctor will check you out. Adrenal gland fatigue. When we're constantly stressed out, we're depleting adrenaline. That causes adrenal fatigue, which can cause high blood pressure, which brings us to our next point. Chronic stress is the #1 cause, if it's not your diabetes and anything else, of your high blood pressure. It's as simple as that. When we're constantly stressed, yesterday you learned about the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system. When we're in the sympathetic nervous system, which is stress, our blood vessels are constricted. If my blood vessels are constantly constricted, I build up high blood pressure. They have to relax so that when they relax, they vasodilate. They expand so that blood can flow and my pressure can drop. So now you know that chronic stress is also the #1 cause of high blood pressure. So what can we do from a lifestyle aspect? We look at our diet. We look at a diet rich in nuts and seeds because of magnesium, the good fatty acids. We move from refined oils to cold-pressed or wood-churned oils. We eat foods like spinach. We eat foods like beetroot because beetroot increases nitric oxide. Walnuts increase nitric oxide. Any foods that contain arginine, L-arginine, will basically break down into nitric oxide that will cause your vessels to dilate, more blood. Magnesium. So a lot of high blood pressure patients are also put on magnesium supplements for the right reasons, to relax your blood vessels. Because if your blood vessels are constricted, think of it as a garden pipe, a garden hose. The garden hose has a beautiful pressure of water flowing through. But over time, because mud starts to clog the pipe and it reduces its diameter, that pressure of water is now reduced until you clean the pipe and now the water can flow. It's like that in an artery. It's like that in a blood vessel. That's why plaque buildups, blockages will mostly create back pressure or high blood pressure, which has to be managed. Then we have yogurt. Ethically sourced yogurt is great for blood pressure. Tomatoes in a cooked form because of the lycopene are great for blood pressure. Your chia seeds, your flax seeds, your pumpkin seeds, your sesame seeds are great for heart health, great for your blood pressure. Staying hydrated, because even if you are dehydrated by 1%, you put the body into stress mode, which will increase your pressure. And finally, it comes down to exercise, movement. Every single day, the more sedentary you are, the more sedentary your job is, the more movement you need, whether it's yoga, walking, running, lifting weights, you need movement for blood circulation. And finally, my favorite, breath work, pranayama. Breathing can reduce blood pressure. We have done this several times with our patients. They come to us with a high systolic, diastolic. We make them spend 10 minutes of deep breathing, and in 10 minutes they can see themselves how their systolic and their diastolic drops because they're relaxed. When you move to the parasympathetic nervous system, your blood vessels relax, more blood flow. So now there are different pranayamas that you can use, but simple belly breathing, simple box breathing, simple diaphragmatic breathing. You don't have to make it complicated or fancy. Or the simple method that I taught you all a couple of weeks ago of breathing, where you just inhale through the nostrils, you exhale in a ha manner through your mouth. So you inhale through your nostrils and you exhale with a You do this 15 to 20 times and you check your systolic and diastolic pressure, it is going to come down. It's not your solution to blood pressure, but it shows you how responsive your body is when you move into homeostasis. When you are in harmony with life, harmony with your thoughts, harmony with your food, harmony with your sleep, your body automatically puts you in homeostasis and will manage your blood pressure. So as you can see right now, there are many contributing factors. The number one thing is, are you a patient of metabolic syndrome? If yes, you have a lot of work to do, because I can promise you one thing. All the medication that you're on in the world can only keep you going for a while. After a while, you're going to have new problems. So if you're in metabolic syndrome, you have to look at getting out of metabolic syndrome. Before I end the video again, what is metabolic syndrome? When you have a low HDL and you have a high triglycerides. Forget about your total cholesterol, it doesn't matter. That is a parameter for people to put you on the statins, but they don't even look at the breakup. So you may be on a statin for the right reasons, but has your doctor, by looking at your total cholesterol, been able to tell you that, hey, you have metabolic syndrome, you gotta take care of your lifestyle and health, because I can't keep giving you pills for all of these things all the time. Eventually you're still sick. So metabolic syndrome, low HDL, high triglycerides, belly fat. A lot of belly fat, your entire core, midriff, lower back, you're surrounded by belly fat, you're constantly putting on fat, no matter how much you exercise, how well you eat, metabolic syndrome. Along with high blood pressure, you have metabolic syndrome. You also have insulin resistance. Get your tests done. A lot of people have insulin resistance. It doesn't mean you have to have diabetes. You can have insulin resistance, get your tests done. And if you have diabetes, so if you have all of these five, you have metabolic syndrome. Your body is screaming to you, slow down. Eat better, sleep better, move more, manage that stress. You do that, you can come completely out of metabolic syndrome. And that is the way human beings are supposed to be, without metabolic syndrome. And then all the other problems we spoke about start to get better. Have a great day, everyone. Until next time, eat smart, move more, sleep right, breathe deep, and remember, you can. It's all about you. Oh yeah, one more thing. Fasting can also help you with blood pressure. So when you intermittent fast the smart way, not the wrong way, not with coffee and tea and all of that rubbish, not because you're competing with your friends, even 12 hours of fasting consistently, 12 beautiful hours just on water, or even dry without water, that depends on you and any health problems that you have, can also help you reduce your blood pressure. Have a great day, everyone.